Thank you for staying with us here on KCTV5 Plus. We are about to go behind the story. Jackson County, they say that a historic Independence building was neglected, but the tenant is blaming ownership rules for the cause. 14 years into a 50-year, $1 a year lease, Jackson County and the tenant are differing on who's responsible for the next steps. And the person taking us behind this story here is none other than KCTV5 investigative reporter Samantha Boring. Hello.
Hi, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here with us. And so I have heard about these cases of $1 to buy a building and whatnot, but not too familiar about this. So I'm very interested to hear the whole deal behind it. So give us just a quick little snippet before we tune in.
Well, let's just say this is a building steps away from the Independence Square. We got these documents of the lease and also kind of what was going on in 2011 when this initially was needing to be moved out of back in 2009, and then 2011 is when they decided to lease it out. So it's got quite the history to it, but the documents kind of speak for itself, that's for sure.
All right, well, let's hear what you have found based on the story here. So here it is.
Oh, I love the square. I come up here as much as I can.
An area filled with history, the Independence Square, just feet away at 200 South Main, sits history on hold.
What do we say?
Behind these trees,
Wagons ho! Here we go. Yum.
you can see it. Cracked walls and sidewalks, boarded up windows, and an entryway in disrepair.
If you drive by, it looks terrible.
The nostalgia of it, I would hate to lose.
Built in 1910, this was Independence's city hall for decades. Today, if you pay taxes in Jackson County, you own it. And according to this lease signed in 2011, someone else has been renting it for $1 a year ever since.
The county had left the building in 2009 due to pieces of the ceiling falling and other parts of the building deteriorating.
There's got to be a way to protect it.
Enter Ken McLean. If you've never heard the name, you've probably been to one of his many businesses. He's renovated 20 buildings on the Independence Square. In 2011, he wanted to do the same with 200 South Main.
And it had been abandoned, and they were preparing to tear the building down.
2 offers were made according to these county documents. One to purchase the building, the other a long-term lease. The county wanted to keep ownership and awarded McLean the lease. 50 years, $1 a year. He was set to begin work in 180 days and complete improvements in 2 years.
So I did my part. I've spent over $200,000 to do that and to protect it.
Now in 2026, the building isn't occupied. That hasn't changed, but county leadership has. Enter Jackson County Executive Phil Lavoda.
It's frustrating to then go back and find this lease and find out someone got a deal, 50-year lease for $1, to be able to get in there, fix it up, and use it as office space, and that never happened.
Lavoda says he answers to the taxpayers.
I'm looking at everything. That's why I'm here.
But McLean says he's done what the lease asks. He repaired the roof, cleaned out the mold, and preserved it best he can. He says since 2011, the county hasn't budged on his proposals to make this building usable.
What are some of those big things you've tried to get them to move on?
Well, the main thing has been to try to get ownership of the building so that I can get tax credits so we can move forward with a plan to utilize it.
McLean says the building needs at least $3 million in renovations. But he says state and federal tax credits aren't possible with county ownership.
The reality is that without ownership of the building, there's no way to invest the millions of dollars that are necessary to make the building usable.
So it remains a standstill. Taxpayers owning an empty building. County Executive Lavoda says he plans to have a historical preservationist look at it in the next month or so. They will see if the building can be saved or needs to be torn down.
Things like this that look fishy, I got to get into, roll my sleeves up and find out what's going on and find out whatever's moving forward is on the best interest of the taxpayers.
For McLean, the path forward is simple. Let him take over the building entirely.
I understand this is just the nature of government. It's inefficient, it's slow, but if they would simply cooperate, we could get it done.
McLean says most of his denied proposals came under former county executive Frank White Jr. Lavoda says it's disappointing the county didn't act sooner and is grateful for what McLean has already done for the square.
15 years, $1 a year, and a piece of Independence history waiting for someone, anyone, to make a decision. In Independence, Samantha Boring, KCTV5 Investigates.
All right, Samantha, great work there.
Thank you.
So I was going back and just like reading through this. So just to make sure I'm following correctly. So the gentleman who you interviewed, the lawyer, he says that he held up his end of the deal and that he did make improvements to the building, but it doesn't look as though improvements were made to the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So kind of what Ken McLean is saying is his job was to restore the building in a sense of preserving it. So he says he put on a new roof, which we could see from our drone footage. It looks great. They gutted the building mostly because there was mold inside of it. And then he said he's done other things to just make sure it's intact. I think he said they did the word is blanking me. It's like the pointing of the building. Gosh, I can't think of the name. But it's pretty much making sure like the brick is intact in the building. It's something they do with these historical old buildings. But yeah, it was something he said that he's done. He's put in, he says, $200,000 of work. And he says that the only way to move forward is historic tax credits, which you cannot get if you are government. So, and it's owned by the county currently.
But he wants full ownership of the building.
He said if he was given ownership, he said he would make the promise of getting this done in 2 years, and he would like to make it into an art museum with his art collection that currently sits at the Truman Courthouse, just steps away over in the Independence Square.
And one thing that he said that I'm reading here is, he says, quote, "I understand this is just the nature of government. It's inefficient. It is slow. But if they would simply cooperate, we would get it done." And so maybe for those who are just like, okay, what does all of this mean? What is the county's stance on this again? If you could walk us through it.
Yeah. So obviously Phil Lavoda has only been interim county executive for a few months. He took the job in mid-October, and that's when he was learning about this lease, and we later talked about it after we obtained it through our Sunshine Records request. Now, most of those proposals, as Ken McLean said, that he tried to get ownership of this building were during the Frank White Jr. administration. He said he was blocked time and time again trying to get them to sell the building to him because he said, really, this needs about $3 million in renovations. He says the most recent conversation he had was with Steve Arbo, which I believe he is I think he's the county administrator. I can't remember what his exact title is, but I know he's within the county, a higher up there, of course. And he said that Steve was going to look at it, but he said he hasn't heard anything. But Lavoda said that he's open to talking about it. Those two just have not connected directly from when I've spoken to them.
So then, I mean, it sounds like a potential for a pathway, but I'm sure this probably isn't the only building that might be in this situation.
Well, so far we don't know of any dollar leases besides this one owned by Jackson County. There could be more with other county or city governments throughout our area. That's something we just have to look into. But this is the one that we found that, definitely had a story behind it. But we do know Jackson County has quite a bit of renovations needed, whether that be in the downtown courthouse. I mean, the steps have been closed for many years, needing renovations there. And there's the Jackson County building that they use for the assessment department, which has needed work. So we know that county buildings, they are needing repairs no matter where they are. This one's just very unique in its situation because it's, number one, historic. It was the old Independence City Hall, but then also it's being leased out for $1 a year for 50 years.
Yeah, but sitting really dormant.
Yeah,
honestly.
Just sitting there. It was used for offices from 1996 until 2009. And then in 2009, pieces of the ceiling started falling. And then the building, of course, just kept deteriorating. And that's when the county decided to move out of the building because it just wasn't worth the safety of their employees.
And one of my favorite questions to always ask you, Zach, Sharon, whoever we speak with for these behind the stories is, how did you come across this story?
Yeah, so it was from a Sunshine Law request, just looking into these county buildings and then figuring out that this was just quite a unique lease. And the Sunshine Law, of course, you can find out so many things with that. whether it be looking at county, city, any governmental emails, or finding documents like these. And so once we looked further, which you can scroll to the bottom of this article and you can read the lease yourself along with the other documentation from 2011, you can kind of see what decisions were made. We know that there were 2 proposals offered, one from McLean, one to buy the building is what McLean had told us. And it does say 2 proposals were offered in there, but we don't know exactly what those were besides McLean's. And then we know the details of the lease agreement and, you know, who was involved in county government at that time, which county executive at the time was Mike Sanders. And then, as we know, he quickly was removed from office later on, and a lot more things happened from there.
And 2011 is a long time ago.
Yeah,
That's the year I
it will be
graduated from
15
high
years in
school.
August. Really?
Yeah, I graduated in 2011.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so 15 years in August since this lease was awarded August 2011. And then, I mean, it's still technically 14 years right now, so we kind of have 14, 15 years in our reporting. But yeah, it's a long time for that building to sit there. And even going and looking at it, it's so hidden in a sense because those trees are so massive. So it's, if you live in Independence or you ever are there going to visit the square, definitely go look at it. I mean, it's really cool to just see the history there. It's a beautiful building. And next door right behind it is the old county courthouse, which is, I think, a log building. It's a very cool city. It's got quite a bit of history.
Very much so. And I mean, you know, it sounds cool. The plans that, you know, of potentially making it an art museum would be really cool. But of course, things have to get resolved in the meantime.
Yeah. I mean, it's a massive space. It could be more than just that. We'll have to see what ends up happening with it for sure.
Yeah. And so as people read the story or look at it, what do you want them to take from it?
I think just understanding that sometimes your county government can do things without you knowing, or if you don't pay attention, it's really important to understand what's going on. But also, we wanted to ask those questions because those questions have been asked over the years of what's going on with this building. So if you have a vacant building or a building that's just sitting there, maybe not vacant, you might see people coming in and out. These buildings matter to so many people in the sense of the history that they can carry. And if that does happen, it's always helpful to contact your local government, whether that be county or city, and see what's going on, because you never know, there might be a story behind it. And that's what I really just wanted to learn from this piece. And we're going to keep on trying to see if we can be with that historical preservationist in about a month or so when Phil Lavoda plans to have that out, because we would love to see, you know, is this building really able to stay there, or does it need to be torn down? That's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, it's been sitting there for a very long time. So did anything come up as far as, like, is the building protected? Do people try to go inside of it? Any issues like that?
I did ask Ken that more off camera, just seeing kind of what's been going on, but he said no, it's been protected really well. They haven't had any issues with break-ins or anything like that. So, and it's pretty hidden, so I wouldn't expect that, but and then any of the windows that may have issues are boarded up. So
okay, well, that's good to know then.
Yeah. And
of course, for all of you who are watching or listening, you can visit our website, KCTV5.com, to read a little bit more into Sammy's story here. And not only that, but as she just shared with us, we do have the lease information here as well, so you can go through the documents yourself and just dig a little deeper into just what's happening in the Jackson County Independence community. Again, things that we might not necessarily think about. And even as you mentioned, the building itself, you know, you could probably miss it if you drive by it.
Yeah. Those trees are so tall. They're about a little taller than the building, and some of them. And when I first pulled up, I said, this is it? I couldn't see it at first because of all the trees. So you have to walk up a little bit closer to get a glimpse of all of it.
Yeah. Are you able to mention at all or give a little taste of what you might be working on next without giving too much away?
Oh, how could I tease my next story? Well, we've got a couple things we're working on. I will just say we're looking into more things involving county and city government, but I'm also working on some other stories with some families who have been either wrongfully dealing with something that happened with the death of a family member or some situations, whether that be with some laws, things like that. That'll be the most I can tease, if that makes any sense.
And I would say that is intriguing enough. Justice will be served.
That's why we're here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking us behind your story.
Thank you, Taylor.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back.